Hello guys, welcome to our channel Ray of 4, and this is going to be another series for our web application penetration testing and bug bounty hunting. In this video, we're gonna cover in depth about local file inclusion, right? So I have not been uploading any videos in so long because I was quite occupied, right? Today in this video, guys, we will be covering a lot from basic how to define local file inclusion, what it is, how to identify this vulnerability, how to exploit this vulnerability, what would be the impact of this vulnerability, and how to mitigate this vulnerability. Apart from that, we would be doing a practical remote code execution where there we will escalate local file inclusion to the remote code execution part as well. I hope you will enjoy this video till the end of this. Okay, so when we talk about LFI, what is LFI? LFI is a critical vulnerability that allows attacker to read and sometimes execute adversary files on the server. This vulnerability exists when a web application includes a file without correctly sanitizing and validating the input, allowing an attacker to manipulate the input and inject path traversal character and include other files from the web servers. So when I talk about this path traversal payload, somehow like the payload that you are going to inject, you will be using path traversal characters only, like slash etc slash password or host or anything. So those are path traversal characters only. Moreover, again, when we talk about guys local file inclusion, 80% of chances are there if the application is using PHP, right? If application is using PHP, they could be vulnerable for LFI. I mean, there are more chances as compared to anything. I'm not saying that LFI only happens in PHP, but it has more chances. According to the new data, right? You can just also go ahead and like on this website and you can see almost like 79.2% of the website across the world are using PHP. That means they are having a risk of LFI. Right? So this is really important. So I wanted to that is why knowing LFI vulnerability is really important, right? Now there is something called when we talk about PHP guy, why these vulnerability exist actually. The PHP uses two functions actually, right? One is include function and one is require function. So when we talk about this include function, what it does, suppose we are trying to execute some sort of code, right? We are trying to execute some sort of code, right? And they are using include function to execute that code on the server. So in that way, even if we give them a code which is partially correct, that means half of the code is wrong and half of the code is right. So what it will do, it will like execute the right code and will throw an error, right? Or warning kind of. Right, but it will execute that half of the code, right? And it will wait till you provide a complete code that would be correct one. But when we talk about require function, what it does, suppose if you like provide a code, right, that will execute on the server, but it is using require function. So even if in entire code, one line of code is like incorrect, then it will throw a factor error. That means it will stop the execution of code right there. That means no code will get executed on the server side, right? I hope I made my point clear and you have the basic understanding of how exactly LFI works and why PHP is important. Sometimes we also recommend them to avoid using this function, right? We will be talking about this in our mitigation chapter, right? So I hope the basic you have clear now, right? Let's process. Now, when we talk about LFI, I did talk about that we would be having multiple endpoints or parameters, right? So some sort of parameters. Again, guys, there are 90% of chances that if the application is using this kind of parameter, irrespective of what technology they are using. If you look over here, you can see these are the PHP, right? But I have also included some of the file which is a Python. You can see I have ASP.NET. I have JavaScript file, right? And also I have content type and whatnot. So LFI is not a technology based attack, but certainly PHP has more chances. But whenever you look for these kind of parameter, right? If you need this list, please comment, I need this list, and I will provide you the list of this parameter that you can go through. So always remember, and what I was saying, 90% of chances are there that if the application having this kind of parameter, there would be a vulnerability. But it is not obvious that if the application is not having parameter, they are not vulnerable for LFI. But they could be vulnerable for LFI, but that are only like no, like 9 to 10% of chances are there, which is really rare, right? But you need to understand the endpoint that if it is using any sensitive endpoints or parameter, I said endpoint, that could be vulnerable, can give a try. But if any download folder removes, you get download, upload or template, login. So if you are seeing this kind of endpoint, you should always give a try for LFI vulnerability. I hope you got to know how to identify and where to try LFI, right? Good, let's go ahead. Now, exploiting and bypassing LFI. Well, there are few steps that you would need to keep in your mind while bypassing LFI or exploiting. Most often, guys, I did talk about one thing, which is absolute path and relative path, right? So when we talk about absolute path, we talk about without any back slash, actually, like a dot slash. We're not going to use that. So sometimes if you can see, like a website may use filter that is script dot slash or like they are like filtered. If you use dot slash, that cannot bypass or they might be filtered. So instead of that, you can use delimiter 2 points or 2 times actually. That this what I'm saying. This you can use twice. If you're using twice, then you would need to make it everything twice. One you are making twice, so it would be 4 times. It could be 8 times 2. Twice dot slash twice dot slash. This could bypass the filter as well. Remember that, right? Now, even if they have filtered, they have implemented that no matter how many, even if they have implemented like not to use any delimiter. So what we can do in that way? We have something called, just a moment. Then we can go for blocking relative path. They might have implemented dot, but they might have forget to block absolute path, right? Again, I'm saying remember that. I have even told you, these are the relative path, but here it is an absolute path. So it can give us the LFI as well, right? Now, if sometimes what happened that even if they have implemented these, then how we can bypass? They still have another way. Suppose a web application that shows an image of the URL, like you can say file name is equal to array4.png, right? Or if you just try to get LFI over there using etc password or host or anything, we might get blocked, right? But this filter can bypass using null character. What is null character? When we talk about null character, suppose the normal URL would look like this, right? So what we would be doing over there, we would be using dot like a slash, dot slash, or I mean 1 slash or 2 slashes, or without any slash, and then at the end, we can use the null payload. And it will get executed on the server as a LFI or path traversal payload. You got it? I hope I made my point clear how to exploit and bypass the filter, right? Okay. Now let's go ahead and learn about the impact of local file inclusion. So when we talk about local file inclusion or the consequence of a path traversal vulnerability can be seen, including, again, when we talk about LFI could be path traversal as well, but here I need to make it correct. This is not path traversal. I don't get confused, right? Well, so when we talk about information disclosure, right? Attacker can access sensitive files such as configuration file, password file, and source code. Remote code execution. In some cases, attackers can upload a malicious file or script and execute them on the server and can get rewards in connection. We will be doing this practically right now, right? So stay tuned with us. DOS attack. Obviously, they can also approach some file that can create a DOS attack as well, that can overblame the server and causing them crashes. Server-side code disclosure. They can also reveal the code information as well. So these would be the impact of an of LFI attack, right? I hope till now you have the good clarity over LFI theory part, right? Now, mitigations. How to mitigate LFI attacks. The first and foremost, which is really important, validate and sanitize user input. Ensure that only trusted, predefined file path allowed. You can use whitelist approach or ensuring that only files intended for the inclusion are accessed actually. Or disable direct file access. We just talk about it. Or limited access to sensitive file, properly configure server permission, ensure that files like etc password are not accessible by the web server. That means they are also telling the client not to use absolute path as well. Got it? Use secure function. Avoid using function like include or require. We talk about this function, that how it will impact your system, right? And then certainly you can implement web application firewall that will block common characters or patterns that LFI attack uses, or such as path aversion, right? Till now, guys, we have covered everything about LFI attack, right? I hope your theory part must be clear, right? Again, right now I am going to teach you something which would be really critical, and the concept you would not get anywhere actually, right? So this is the done of theory. Let's go ahead and do some practical stuff. Guys, over here, if you can see, I have 2 labs of DBWA. Can you find a difference here? I have limited, but here I have multiple one, right? What's the difference between those? One, I have hosted using my Linux server. This is a Linux server and this is a Windows server. Using Jam server, I have hosted. How to host DBWA using Jam server? I have made the video. You can just go ahead and watch that as well. So again, when we perform LFI attack, it is really important to know what kind of server are being used by the application. A randomly hitting try would not get you anywhere. Suppose I found that this application is using on Linux server, right? So what I'm gonna do, let me turn on the intercept, right? And then proxy on intercept. I intercepted the data, send to the repeater, remove high level security, etc password. Okay, so we got it, right? We got it with the same payload, right? etc password, right? So we just got it with etc password. So what we can do right now, let me turn off the intercept. Okay, so now this is also a same, you can see, right? There's no difference. LFI page equal to include.php. That means they are using the include function over here, right? This is the same page, right? But if I am using over here etc password, will it give me anything? You can see, warning, etc failed to open, no such file or directory is available. Because they are not hosted on Linux. Therefore, it could be they might not be using this path. So suppose if I use a payload called this and provide this data, and you can see I got the information, right? I got the host details, and here I can get the Linux details, right? Right? So you need to understand this difference before performing the LFI, that what server are being used. Now you can see as we are able to perform LFI and but now we need to know if we can escalate this to the remote code execution, right? So how we can do actually? We have something called one command actually that we will be talking about. proc self environment. We'll see. Okay, they can see we have the details over here, right? We are getting the user. You can see redirect handler, user status code, and this, and also HTTP accept and accept. We're getting good details actually, right? Host details and also okay, HTTP the design secure. Okay, data details, status. Okay, we also got the user details and also Mozilla 5.0 Windows. So we got a pretty good information, right? And the most important, we are getting this information user agenda that we are providing over here. Can you see in the request? It is here on a server. So we need to check. We need to check over here now. Whatever we provide, will it get stored or execute on server as well? So what I'm gonna do, I'll just provide a random character, real4. We'll see. Can you find real4 over here somewhere? Okay, there we go. Can you see? It is getting, we can see this in response. Somehow it could be that it might getting executed on server too, but we are not sure about it. So what we going to be doing right now? Now I'll try to provide a payload. I try to provide a payload. Well, there are multiple payload. What this payload will do? This payload will display details information about the PHP configuration if it get executed. So let's try to execute one file. Right? If you need this code, just comment. I'll provide you. I'll paste it. Right? Again, you have to make sure that there should not be any mistake in the code when you are writing. Even if there's one space, it will throw an error. I'll provide this. Can you see it get executed on the server and it is giving us a PHP index file? That means whatever code we are giving, it is getting executed on the server side. You got it? You understand this, what I'm saying? First, what with this, with through environmental variable payload, right? And we found the user agent was getting executed on the server. Then we provided a basic scene.txt actually to find out if we can get it in response or not. And we got it. And then we provided on a simple script to see that if the script is getting executed on server or not. And somehow even it got executed on server too. That means possibly there are 90% of chances that this could be vulnerable for remote code execution, right? So now I have made one payload, right, for RCE, one pass-through function. Basically for that I would be using netcat, right? So let me open my Kali. Okay. ISconfig 192.168.146.130. 192.168.146. Okay, that's fine. So now we have the IP. So I'll do, I'll open my netcat. It's a default port actually, right, for netcat. So I open the netcat. Now I'll be using this command, basic. You can get it from GitHub as well. Multiple command, as much as you want, right? So now I can provide in one para or anywhere, right? So what I'm gonna do this time, I'll remove all of them and just provide this payload. And we'll see if it is getting executed on server or not, or if we are able to get the reverse connection over here or not, right? So let's send this. Can you see we are getting nothing in response? Can we find out over here? Okay. Can you see? First, it was 9129. This is not our lookup, but host lookup is fair, unknown host, right? Host we did not find, but we got connected. We got the reverse shell. But now, even if they did not give me the host name by default, I can get to know. All I need to do, who am I? We got it, right? ls, we got it. vir, we got it. Username, we got it. Linux, right? So can you see I am able to perform remote code execution. I am able to get the reverse shell. And if I want, if on this server, if any other website is also hosted, I can go ahead and exploit that website as well, right? I hope guys I made my point clear, and now you have a really clear understanding of LFI vulnerability. Again, if you need any sort of help in LFI, please feel free to comment. I would be happy to help you. If you like this video, please like, subscribe and comment your views. Thank you so much for watching.